He did it again. He didn't check your data. He didn't check what you found. This little thing about Richard Dawkins was a creationist hoax. As a matter of fact, there's a video here on YouTube with Dawkins talking specifically about this one. The woman on there didn't ask him the question. As a matter of fact, she wasn't even interviewing him. See, Killer, this is what happens with creationists. They misrepresent, they distort, and they lie. They don't always do it on purpose. I mean, it's obvious that you didn't know this. You're being informed of it now. I suggest you take a look at it. I'll provide a link to the that way. So, this is the problem with creationists. This is the problem with creationism. It, by its very nature, promotes dishonesty. It promotes lying. It promotes the willingness to do anything, absolutely anything, to promote the view, the religious dogma that it presents. Evolution doesn't do this. The theory of evolution and sciences don't do this. They're, they deal with the data. They deal with the facts, the observations. And yes, evolution is a theory that deals with observation, facts, and predictions. Evolution, just to restate this for everyone out there, in science, first you have a hypothesis that's based on observations that are made. From that hypothesis, you can derive predictions. You go out and you test those predictions, either directly, physically, testing them in a laboratory, or through further observation. And then you go and do it again, and again, and again. And every time you do this, you look at the data and see if it supports or falsifies your hypothesis. After a large number of tests where a hypothesis is supported over and over and over again and nothing falsifies it, then it can be called a scientific theory. A scientific theory is, for all intents and purposes, the closest we have to fact when it comes to explaining something. It's not just a willy-nilly thing thrown up, just like, hey, I think this is how it happened. No. A scientific theory is highly tested. It's put through the ringer. It's put through them. I mean, it's just knocked the hell out of. And only when it actually supports, only when it's actually supported by, an enormous amount of data, does it become a theory. I know I just kind of contradicted myself there. I should have said hypothesis, but I'm not used to talking to the camera. So, let's look at evolution real quick. What's evolution have? Evolution was derived from observations made by Charles Darwin back in the 1840s. Well, I think it might have been the 1850s. I don't really pay that much attention to actual history. When he was on the Beagle, went to Galapagos, went all over the place. Actually looked at a lot of fossils that he could find. Nowhere near the number of fossils we have today. And from that, he derived a hypothesis that life changes, and that these changes are small, but can over time add up to producing a large change in a species and speciation events. That was his theory. Evolution via modification of descent. That's it. We started testing that theory, the scientific world. And you know what we found? Every time we tested that theory, we found that everything comes back and supports it. Well, hypothesis at that time. It became a theory later. To date, 150 years later, actually 149 years later after the publishing of On the Origin of Species by Darwin, guess what? Not one thing verifiably falsifies evolution. Nothing ever found by creationists has falsified evolution. Number two, everything that has ever been examined in regards to evolution supports the theory. We see speciation. We see it all the time. The fossil record shows us how animals can change slowly from one form to another. I mean, you're complaining about tiktaalik. Actually, look at the physiology of that fish. Amphibian. Fishibian. We're talking, it has scales, fish scales on its back. It has gills. It has evidence of internal lungs, so it has gills and lungs. It actually has a neck. Fish don't have necks. The bone that's found on the very backside of the fish's skull, at the jawline, has been moved back and has become the clavicle of the fish. It has bone for bone all the bones found in later tetrapods, such as humans. It has the humerus. It has the ulna and the radius. I may have gotten those backwards. It has the wrist bones, and it has the metacarpals and the phalanges. And it has them in a very, how can I say, non-evolved fashion. And there's a couple other things about it. You take a look at the actual physiology of it. It's not a shark, as you mentioned in one of your videos. No, it's a fish. It's an amphibian. It's a fishibian. It's a transitional fossil. Okay. So again, always check your facts. You can look like a complete idiot when you don't. And, maybe learn a little bit about the things you want to talk about. It kind of helps you not look so stupid. Good luck, though. I've seen potential in you. Okay.